Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us for Diablo's Hot August Happy Hours. This is actually our last virtual happy hour. Hard to believe. We've had 4 before this. This is the last, and I hope the best. My name is Ethan Fletcher. I'm the food editor for Diablo magazine. I'll be your host this evening. And I would just like to encourage everybody. I think this happy hour in particular, I'd love to encourage people to ask questions. The bartender we have on is he has a ton of experience and a ton of knowledge of the sort of mixology trade, and I think he'd be a great person to bounce questions off of. And there is a chat function in the Zoom call, so you can feel free to type some questions in there, and we'll try to address them. And so I'll just describe. You probably know, but our Diablo's cover story for August was about summer cocktails, and the idea was that we could kind of all use a drink these days, and I try to emphasize restaurants and bars with nice outdoor spaces and simple summer cocktails that you can make at home or maybe enjoy in person. Our next restaurant is actually a bar, Prizefighter. They're not actually open for in person, but they do have a to-go cocktail scene. And the owner, I'll introduce him now, is Jon. He's the owner of Prizefighter in Emeryville, which is a great little spot hidden away, and it's been sort of a favorite among real cocktail enthusiasts for quite a while. So I'll introduce Jon. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Hi, everybody.
Yeah. So yeah, why don't we tell? We're doing the daiquiri today. Can you maybe you can tell me a little bit about why this was one of the sort of summer cocktails you wanted to emphasize? Anything in particular about it that appeals to you?
Oh, sure. I mean, the daiquiri is kind of the most classic of summer drinks, and I think at this point, it's misunderstood to a large degree. People think it's like a blended thing with whipped cream on top, and it's
right.
not. It's actually pretty simple and elegant and hugely delicious. It's been around for more than 100 years, and I don't think it's going anywhere. So.
Yeah, that's great. Tell me a little bit about the history. You said it started in one kind of bar in Cuba. Is that right?
Well, the famous place where it started, although I suspect people have been combining a sweetener, lime juice, and rum for a very long time, way before this bar was around. But the most famous bar is a bar that's called the Floridita in Cuba, and that's where Hemingway used to drink, and that's where the daiquiri recipes that we use in the most part, all of them come from that one little bar.
And you said they had numbers for the different versions of them. Is that right?
Yeah. So they made they had a cocktail list like many people. But almost exclusively what they would make there was daiquiris and mojitos. And the daiquiris they just had a number. There's daiquiri number 1, there's daiquiri 2, 3, 4, 5. I think they only went to 5. Those are the ones that I have, that I've always used, but it's possible that they have many more that I just don't know about.
And tell me about the Kingston Daiquiri that you chose to contribute the recipe for Diablo, and kind of why you like it and what makes it a little unique.
The Kingston Daiquiri was a drink that we put on our list the first day we opened the bar in 2011. And it's one of my favorites. It's just kind of daiquiri, but I took the flavors and just kind of upped them a little bit. I just wanted to pack more flavor into the glass if I could. So we do that with the addition with a kind of modification of a little bit of Jamaican rum, which is very powerful stuff. And that gives it a great deal more flavor. I haven't done that. But besides that, it's a very, it's a classic recipe, and that being rum, lime, sugar. And and I called it the Kingston Daiquiri just because I needed to come up with a name that was kind of Jamaican. So
right.
there it is.
I think everybody knows Kingston, right?
Yeah.
brings to mind other things as well. Excuse me. And tell me a little bit about the Jamaican rum. You said what gives it that kind of interesting kick?
Well, Jamaican rum, the one I'm using is this one, Smith and Cross.
Okay.
Number one is classically extremely powerful. So this is 57 ABV or 114 proof, right?
Wow.
So
Okay.
it's in general, the more alcohol you have in something, the more flavor you have because you have less water in the bottle, right? But also Jamaican rum is made in a specific way that lends it a lot of flavor. The first part of that is the fermentation of Jamaican rum takes place in what they call a dunder pit. And that's basically an outdoor natural fermentation vessel that they never clean ever for hundreds of years. So it's extremely funky at first with the wild yeasts of wherever they are. And then it's distilled in pot stills only. And if you distill only in pot stills, you get more flavor. There are basically two types of stills. There's a column still, which you get less flavor, which is what Bacardi's made in. And you get pot stills, which you give more flavor. For rums like this and for other things like Scotch is made in pot stills.
Okay. So literally these pits have been around for hundreds of years. Some of them have been in constant use.
Yeah, they're kind of a Solera system of funk, if you will. They never completely empty them. They just add it. They just add on to them, and they take a little bit out and they put a little bit in, and they just keep it going forever.
That's amazing. So, and as you said, that lends that funkiness to the drink. And I would imagine each rum or each one is a little bit different depending on how long it's been around, what they add to it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Rums are kind of the Wild West. They're very individual.
Is that right?
Okay. From the same place that tastes totally different depending on who's making them and how they're making them and what they're putting in them or not.
And where we've got a question. Where can you buy the rum, or where do you buy the rum, or the Jamaican rum in particular?
I buy it from my distributor, which is Pack Edge, but you can get this at Ledger's Liquors. You can get it at Cask. I'm not sure you can get it at Bevmo. You probably can get it at Bevmo. It's pretty common. It isn't that rare. It's just kind of nondescript package, but it's a great way to boost to boost the amount of flavor you have in any drink. I wouldn't recommend making entire drinks out of this. It's very.
I was going to ask you. That's probably an acquired taste, maybe for professionals only, right?
Yeah, I have a good friend in Boston. His name is Jackson Cannon. He runs a couple of the better bars out there, and he notoriously will come to town and order everybody a shot of Smith and Cross, and we all just kind of roll back, groan. Jeez.
Like, here we go. Yeah. Right. Yeah. He's a friend though, so you have to do it, right?
Yes, he's a dear friend. He's a great guy. He just really likes strong rum.
Yeah. Before we get going, a little more about the rum, like how there's white rum, there's dark rum, there's Jamaican rum. Are there any tips for kind of picking it out? I mean, you said it's kind of the wild west. Is it just your own personal taste and you try it and see what you like?
In general, I think that's the case because rum is made all over the equator, all over the world, essentially. There's nobody to tell anybody how they can and cannot make it. So unlike with other spirits, like if you take bourbon, for instance, the guidelines for making bourbon are very specific.
Right.
You have to adhere by them, and you have to be in the continental United States, and that's how they can get away with having guidelines. They're the same kind of guidelines for making a Scotch and other spirits, but for rum, you can do whatever you want. So you can sweeten it, you can flavor it, you can color it, you can do whatever. So it's hard to tell people what a white rum is because a white rum that's made in Martinique is not the same as a white rum that's made in Panama or Massachusetts, So generally speaking, speaking in the broadest terms, you can divide rum up into kind of two categories. 98% of it is a derivative of molasses. Molasses is a derivative of the making of sugar. It's a byproduct
sugar
of
cane,
right? So you take the molasses, you add water to it, you ferment it in a dunder pit or somewhere else, and you make rum from that. That's what almost all rum is made from. the rums in Martinique and in Haiti occasionally are, because those two islands used to belong to the French, are agricole rums, and that means it's not molasses that's the base. It's the pressing of the cane itself. So it's fresh pressed cane juice that's fermented and then distilled. So the rums from those two islands tend to have a lot more flavor and they're not the same as rums from anywhere else in the world.
Interesting.
So those two categories can lead you down the deeper rabbit hole of rum.
The rum rabbit hole. What are the how is the flavors unique? Can you explain it at all? How the flavors from those two countries are different?
They're stronger for sure. There's more flavor in there. The funkiness we're talking about in rum, officially the term for that when you're tasting rum is hogo, H-O, and then hogo. So there's a lot more hogo in agricole rums. Agricole just means agriculture in French. So they're higher in alcohol, higher in flavor, and they don't allow them to add anything at all.
Interesting. Okay.
Unlike everybody else. So you can't add color, you can't add flavor, you can't add sugar. You just get the rum as it comes off the still.
Interesting. So it's almost rum in its kind of purest form or simplest form.
I think so. Well, maybe. I think that the rum kind of and molasses and the production of sugar and slavery are all tied very much together. So it's put it this way, it's the hardest way to make rum for sure.
Really?
The way they do it there. Because it's more like an agricultural product and less like an industrialized product. Okay,
that's interesting. And just for the one last question for the rum, the dark rum, that doesn't necessarily mean it's funkier or has more of a strong taste. Is that right?
No, it just means it's darker, literally.
Right.
Unless you know the rum, you don't know what they've done to it. So.
Right. And because you said there's no fewer regulations, they can kind of put whatever they want in there, or to a degree, obviously.
I don't know if there's a degree. I think they can just do whatever they want.
Rum sounds like a fun world. Yeah, I'm getting into it. Cool. Well, why don't we get going? So how do we start? Maybe you can show me.
First thing, for everybody watching at home, I think the best way to do this is for you guys to watch me do it first and then do it after me rather than trying to do it at the same time, because you'll pick up more stuff if you just watch this process first. So the first thing we do is we take the glass the drink's going to go in and put it in your freezer.
Great. Oh, in the freezer. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
when you saw me duck out of sight in the beginning there, that was me putting my glass in the refrigerator. If you're wondering what was going on there.
Excellent. We do that for the same reason, like when you go to a restaurant and you get a plate of food and the plate's hot and the server says, "Careful, the plate's hot." We just want to keep the drink as cold and delicious from the first sip all the way through the last sip. So if your glass is already cold, your chances of doing that are better.
Yeah.
That's all.
And the daiquiri, this is you drink it up generally, right? You put it.
But you could drink it on the rocks. I mean, you can drink it any way you want, but classically it's served up. Yeah, in a cocktail glass.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The next thing we do is we get our small tin. I got two tins, small tin and a big tin, right?
Okay.
You build the drink in the small tin. And then you always start with the cheapest ingredients first. That way, if you screw it up, you can dump those and not feel bad.
Good tip.
Thank you. So I'm going to squeeze an ounce of lime juice.
Yeah. So John, we put in the gold flakes last. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. So one lime will usually yield about an ounce, depending on how big your limes are, or how large they are, or what time of year it is, or whatever. These limes are kind of dry, so I'm probably going to have to use more than one.
Okay.
Anyway.
And you generally just eyeball it with at least with the lime?
No, I'm squeezing into this jigger right here.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Measuring device.
I couldn't see it.
Okay, sorry. So this is the 1 ounce jigger here. I'm gonna fill that all the way to the top. So it's gonna take me about a lime and a quarter, maybe, lime and a half to get there. There we go. And then.
And we're doing 1 ounce, is that right, sir?
1 ounce of lime, yep.
Okay.
And put that tool away. Oh, I should mention this because people do this wrong somehow, and I don't mean this to be offensive to anybody, but when you're using this juicer, put the flat side of the lime down so the juice comes out the holes on the bottom. Don't line it up so that it like spoons itself.
Yeah.
That's the wrong way. You shouldn't have to tip the juicer over to get the juice out. That's
okay.
Anyway,
I got into an argument with a friend of mine about that one time, and
it seems
I was right.
Yes, you were. It seems self-explanatory, but then again, it's kind of counterintuitive because it looks like you should put it in so it matches, but you don't. Anyway, and then I'm going to use this cane syrup, which is from Martinique, actually.
Great.
It's very, very sweet, but you can use anything you want. You can use simple syrup, or if you take it, which is classically equal parts of water and sugar, or you can do a strong one that's 2 parts sugar and 1 part water, in which case you get a syrup that's closer to this. But anyway, this is 3/4 of an ounce or a little bit less of the syrup.
Okay.
And then I'm going to use this Haitian rum, Barberport, which is kind of dark, but kind of not. It's 1.5 ounces of this. So that's 2 of the jiggers on the 0.75 side.
Okay.
For those of you doing math in your head. And then I'm going to take that Jamaican rum we were talking about and put, technical difficulties, and put 1/2 ounce of that.
Okay.
So total rum is 2 ounces. It's 1.5 ounces of the lighter rum and 1/2 ounce of the accenting rum, if you will.
Okay, gotcha. And obviously, if you don't like the funk, you can just use 2 ounces of the lighter rum.
Absolutely. And then I'm going to put ice in here until you get to the top. Use a lot of ice. Always use a lot of ice, right?
Really? Okay.
Okay. The more ice you have in there, the colder it will be, and the less water you'll have because ice won't be able to melt as much. Because
does it matter the size when you're shaking it up, or
the ice matters more how much ice and how long you shake for. So a lot of ice, and I'm going to shake this for like maybe 3 or 4 seconds, and then just very hard. Really? Right?
But doesn't the quality of the cocktail doesn't that depend on how long you shake it for? I thought that was the rule.
No, that's the inverse of the rule. Okay.
All right.
4 seconds.
Okay.
That's about it.
Okay. I'm gonna shake mine.
Pull the glass out.
A glass. All right.
And strain. There you go.
Great. Any garnish that you use? Or?
I'm not a big believer in garnishes for drinks like this, but if you want to put something pretty on there, you go ahead. But I don't think this drink has so much flavor in it that I don't think it really needs additional flavorings. It's kind of very pure and strong. So.
Okay, great. Well, can I take a drink? Cheers, John.
Cheers.
Thank you. Delicious.
Good. I really like it.
Yeah. And you were saying, I know you're saying you can kind of riff off of the daiquiri a little bit, right? You can sort of add different flavors if you want to kind of make a different drink. Or
think about it. I think about it like this. I think about daiquiris and drinks that are like daiquiris as having a base, a sweetening agent and a souring agent, right? So you have like an acid, whether it be lemon or lime or orange juice or whatever, pineapple juice. You have a sweetening agent that can be any. And the way to make a daiquiri into lots of other things is to take that sweetening agent and replace it with other things that are sweet but have other flavors. Right? So the daiquiri number 4 is like this, only with the addition of some of this, which is maraschino liqueur, right? Okay. You'll find this in a lot of old-fashioned drinks. Anything called improved in old cocktail books has this in it. That's all improved means. The daiquiri number 5 has lime juice without the simple syrup, rum, this, and some grenadine in it. So they've just taken the sweetener out and put this one in, and then these 2 in different. You know what I mean? You just keep changing that up. You'll get all kinds of different drinks. Right.
Well, people tend to get hung up on sort of the specific ingredients, but it's convenient to just break it down into you're trying to create a balanced drink, right? So you have the alcohol, the sweet, and the sour.
I mean, I'm actually honestly, people talk about the balancing of drinks a lot, and that's kind of a good place to start. But I'm honestly trying to make drinks that are just a little bit off balance. Interesting. Because they're more interesting that way. You know what I mean? Like if they're really balanced, it kind of tastes like nothing. And I don't want that. But I do that for the same reason that, like, again, when you go to a restaurant and you get a steak and you're like, this is the most delicious steak I've ever had, that's because the chef covered it in salty butter before he gave it to you. You know what I mean? Like, we're just packing flavor into things so that you have a different experience than you normally would. Right. That's why we go through all this stuff rather than just putting some white rum and lime juice and sugar in a glass.
Right, and that's why you go to the nice bar to kind of get that accent on a cocktail.
Extra tweak. But yes, to your point, I think understanding the form of the drink is better than understanding the specifics of any given recipe. Right?
Yeah, no, I remember I tried to pin you down on a specific twist on this drink, and you wouldn't do it. Several times, I think. But I think you're probably right. It's a good way. I mean, you probably have your favorites, but really, it's good to kind of take control of your own drink and think what flavor do I want to add to this, and then just.
Yeah, I think of it more as like the whole if you give a man a fish or teach a man to fish. I'm just trying to teach people to fish. That's all.
No fish sauce, I'm assuming, but yeah.
Not in this drink, but I do put that in some.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Which ones?
I'm not telling.
You don't list that in the ingredients?
But if you want umami, there's no better way to get there than fish sauce, honest to God.
Yeah. That's funny. And is that almost like almost like bitters a little bit where it just brings out a little
I mean extraordinarily sparingly. You get a very small amount in there to make it not. I mean, I'm sure anybody cooks at home knows with fish sauce, if you get some on your hands when you're cooking, you're like, oh no, like you can't get it off.
Yeah, maybe in a week I'll stop smelling like I just came from a fish market. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Any other little secret ingredients that you use with your? I don't want you to give away all your secrets.
No, I'm happy to share. Cocktails are for everybody. I think most importantly when making drinks at home, these little touches like using enough ice, putting your glass in the freezer, are honestly more important than the specifics on ingredients and riffs and all that. These little things can make your drinks a lot better just by following these steps.
That makes sense. And tell me a little bit about your cocktail to go. Actually, tell me you've done. I mean, you have so much knowledge, but you've done a few of these classes over the last few months, right?
Yeah, I've been doing them about once every couple of weeks. Actually, it's worked out that way. They've been really fun. Those have just been me though, not the bar. But
right.
It's a Zoom class kind of like this. Only I'm usually talking to 20 people or 100 people and not one person. So this is a little bit different. Right. This is nice. And it's hard to see everybody. And we usually go through a couple of drinks in the course of an hour, right around an hour, sometimes a little over, sometimes a little less, depending on how much interaction we get. We make one drink that's very much in this style, and then we make another drink where we stir the drink and make a more boozy style drink, like a martini or a Manhattan or something like that. And I kind of try to talk about how understanding the forms of those two drinks, again, will help you understand almost all drinks. If you can just understand how these work in your mind, you can then start to play with them, kind of.
Just kind of teaching the basics a little bit so people can take it from there.
Yeah, and trying to teach people how to like use tools and stuff remotely, and how to put the lime in the squeezer, and how to get your tins apart, what kind of jiggers to use, how to stir, that kind of stuff. It's been fun.
Okay, yeah, that's great. And your cocktail to go program, tell me a little bit about that for.
We have wine and beer and cider and cocktails to go right now at Prizefighter. They come in sealed. They come in Odwalla bottles. Honestly, that's what they are. We have them in different sizes. Some of them are, you could drink them out of the bottle, although I suggest that you pour them on ice and don't just sit in your car and drink 4 margaritas.
Put a paper bag over it. Yeah. It'll be fine, I think. Yeah.
But you don't have to. And others we're doing take a little bit of effort. Like you have to blend them with ice, or you have to. We have some kits that we're selling that like you'll get the ingredients that are mixed together, and then you'll get some hand cut cubes. We cut these big ice cubes at Prizefighter, so you get 4 of those, and you get some bitters, and you can make the drink yourself at home over those big clear hand cut cubes. Yeah, we have a lot of options right now. It's actually pretty fun.
Great, and people should go to your website, Prizefighter. What's the website for?
It's prizefighterbar.com. And the website is the store, so everything we have available is on there. We're available for pickup or delivery within a 5-mile radius of the bar, Wednesday through Saturday from 3 to 7.
Today is Thursday, so you're open for business.
Currently, right now.
I better let you go. I did want to ask you where the name of Prizefighter came from. What's the history there?
Oh, it came from the song. There's an Eels song, not Eagles. Eels, E-E-L-S.
Not Hotel California. Hotel California.
Different band. And the song is about, it nothing to do with fighting. It just rhymes with I'm a go all nighter. I'm a don't do it wrong, do it righter. It's a fun song about community and consistency and friendship, and I thought that that's really what we're going for at Prizefighter. So
cool. That's a great story. Well, I'd encourage everybody to go check out Prizefighter's website, check out the kits, check out the. Do you advertise your cocktail classes as well on there? Or?
If you write to us at the bar, we'll be happy to write you back about cocktail classes if you want to take some.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay. Great. Well, John, I think that's about it. I really appreciate you taking us through this. It's a delicious cocktail, and you have a ton of knowledge to share, and I appreciate it.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Okay, thanks, everybody. Cheers.